All right, this is the first Bazi Circle. We are going to be covering some basic introduction topics and as well as going over the Dragon Month. April is the dragon and the Chinese zodiac, so that'll be fun for us to experientially explore. But first, some terminology. Okay, you can all see this okay? All right. So I talked about this a little already, the fundamentals of Batsa and giving a concept of self that is, at least in this system's language, much more than just, oh, we're our year sign or we're this element plus our year animal sign, which is normally what we come into from popular culture knowing about. So I'd like to start out mentioning that Batsu is not, I say Chinese astrology just because that has more familiarity. Batsu is like, okay, that's just a word. So I use Chinese astrology sometimes, but the truth is Chinese astrology has a lot of different schools. Batsu is merely one way of understanding the cosmos in Chinese astrology. So we're just going with Batsu, and there's a lot of other different ways to interpret the stars, different organizations of these concepts. So I just want to be clear on that baseline. Now, I like some contrast. And how I like to understand about the Eastern, the Batsa versus Western astrology, your Aries, your Taurus, and Gemini, and all that, is how I personally have been using them. Is that the Batsa is really good at sort of predicting the rhythms because it flows in a much more, uh, not necessarily linear because it's secular, but it's easier to wrap my head around these are the cycles that we're going through. Whether in Western, you've got stuff moving in and out of signs all the time in lots of different complex patterns. So you got Venus in this, and then Mars is over here. We got Pluto's doing its own thing. All the rhythms are different. So it's a lot. The map of the cosmos in that system is very, yeah, it's always ever shifting and changing. So it can be a lot harder to use that for predictive. Whereas in the Batsa, like once you learn Dragon Month, you're set. If you save this recording, watch it again next year, it's still going to be Dragon Month. There will be some differences because of the yearly energy, but the Dragon Month is the Dragon Month. It's always going to be that. So that's helpful. It's like, okay, so I can sort of get a sense of what Aprils are for me. And you hear a lot of people say that. They're like, oh, September's always been a hard month for me. And they don't know why. They just have noticed over the years, like a certain month. And then Batsa gives us some language and tools to understand, oh, that's the energy of September relative to me. And that's why I have some challenge with it. So then you can be better prepared. I like to say Batsu is good at understanding balance because you have the five elemental model and you kind of want to bring balance to the overall chart. In Western, it's kind of like understanding ourselves, getting a map of like, oh, these are the forces and this is how they're playing around with each other. So that's how do I navigate that? Whereas in the Eastern, it's very clear the actions you can take to balance your chart. In the Western, let's say you don't have a certain energy, you don't have Gemini and you can't just like make yourself be more Gemini to balance. If you don't have that in your chart, it's not there. You can make Gemini friends, see what it's like to be around that. But there's not clear actions to be more Gemini. Whereas in the Batsa, it's pretty clear what you can do to balance your chart. So it's really good about clarity. I like to use Western for relationships. I find that just much easier because you're understanding yourself. If you can understand them, you're like, oh, that's how they work. This is how I work. We can see how these puzzles fit together. Eastern's more about like, this is how my life works. Is that congruent with how someone else's life works? So I haven't found much success with the relationship aspect of it. I can see like core dynamics, but in terms of like helping people through their relationships, I rather use Western. And then I talk about life themes because you're getting a picture of your chart and your life and how it's balanced. That just gives you like themes that are going to play out over your life again and again. Whereas in the Western, there's specific charts, there's specific points in the chart that speak to where your soul's destiny is, the energy you're growing towards. And that's more of a one backwards and forwards balancing act between your comfort zone and your discomfort zone. So it's a little bit more direct in that sense, rather than the overall picture. And then, of course, there's lots of overlap. These are both systems of astrology. We're both looking at how the energies of the cosmos or heaven in Chinese thought, they called everything that wasn't Earth is heaven, like everything out there beyond us. That brings us wonder. That's heaven. So, how the energies of heaven are influencing us and playing out in our lives in these subtle ways. These are both very much subtle arcs that you really need to be tuned into to see how they're showing up in your life. So, so that's just to give you some contrast, just in case you have some experience with Western, you want to know what Eastern or Batsu has to offer. Now we have to talk about the fate versus heaven. And I actually got a new quote. These are some slides that I used last year that you can digest at your own pace. But I have a new quote on fate that comes from our friend Michael Mead. He has a book called Fate and Destiny, The Two Agreements of the Soul. And the quote goes, wounds can become doorways to our deepest gifts, and how our greatest effort in the world are intended to lead us to a treasure divinely seated within us before birth. Fate and Destiny speaks directly to young people looking to find a genuine path in life and trying to awaken to the dream they carry inside. As one story puts it, God has only one question to ask us at the end of our lives. Did you become yourself? So we've already kind of all mentioned that in our introductions is how do we become more of ourselves? And Botsa gives us a picture of like these are your energies that you can bring forth. That's what I love about astrology as a whole. It's like literally, we're made of stardust and we are the picture of the universe at our birth that's being reflected in our lives. And we get to bring that unique pattern out. And so practically, this is a tool to help us become ourselves because we're learning what we're getting a time to experience what was conditioning, what was imprinted, trauma, social conditioning, history, parents, whatever, and then what's true, what's really resonant with how our soul naturally expresses ourselves. And so the fate versus heaven concept is fate is what's going to happen if you keep following the patterns that you just pick up and that get ingrained in you and you play out and you practice and it's like autopilot. And if you keep getting conditioned. And so heaven, it's like that seed that it was talking about in the quote is planted. And if we nourish it and we grow with that, then we have that choice to grow towards our destiny. So destiny is not guaranteed. We have to grow towards it. We have to make that alignment and walk that path. So that's the distinction here, because in astrology, people inevitably say, "Oh, I don't like that things are all determined," or that seems very deterministic. It's like, no, it's these are the patterns in play, and then we have our choice to awaken to our destiny. Just want to make that clear. All right, now the first concept that we'll come to, and this is the only thing we're going to focus on today, so I'm not going to get overloaded, is we have day masters. So the day master is, the day master is just what is the energy that we were born under. There's 10 elements because there's yin and yang, but so the 10 elements, there's 10 day masters, and they change each day. So the heavenly energy on the day we're born represents our day master. And traditionally in Batso, they say that's your personality. That's how you show up in the world. But I don't think that's a good translation because personality is always different in different contexts. So I say that, each of these pillars, the pillar is the top and down, the whole two characters, the animal and the element. Those kind of show us our personality in different areas of our life. But the day pillar is the pillar of the self. So this is kind of like our true self may be a little too severe a term because true self has deeper spiritual meanings, but this is closer to our heavenly original self nature, and that's why it reflects more of our gifts and what we have to offer the world from our core. Whereas the personality I like to think of as like, okay, maybe that's how you show up in your community. Maybe you're that bubbly, fun person in the community, but you're not that in every situation in your life. You're not that with you maybe a close family. You're not that with your parents. All those personalities changes. But there are certain qualities, your daymaster qualities, that are going to show up in all aspects. And that's why it's the reference point for all the work that we're going to learn and do, because we're going to keep referring to how is this element in relationship to our daymaster. For instance, how is the dragon refer to young metal, which is actually one of your daymasters, who I won't reveal until we get to that point. So any questions on daymaster? Did I use clear enough language for that? Okay. All right, we're gonna go through a few of the daymasters just for time's sake. We'll probably go through, let's go through half of them today, include the people that are here. And then we'll do some experiential stuff. So the first one I was going to go over is yang metal. Okay. So yang metal as a quality is really about this very strong expression of the metal chi, which is can be cutting, it can be tough, it's durable, and it handles adversity well. And what I mean by that is yang metal people seem to have this really rare quality that they don't really fall into victimhood. When adversity and pain comes, they use that to temper themselves. It's like the fires of suffering are used to forge the raw ore. Like maybe young metal people start out in life being kind of blunt forces, raw potential, raw objects with really tough material. And through adversity, through getting through the toughness in life, they use that to kind of hone away at becoming whatever tool resonates with them. Some people are swords that kind of cut through BS, cut through nonsense, cut through ties. You could be an axe, you could be a hammer, you could really be good at smashing stuff that needs breaking. Um, these are all very aggressive weapons. There's other ways to use metal. You could be a supportive pillar, very strong pillar, whatever resonates with you. Like I said, this is your inner power and to meditate and sit with. I'm just giving examples. If you have a young metal daymaster, I really encourage you to take time with metal and see what your relationship to it is and what stands out to you. So to contrast, we have also yin metal, which we won't go over. How about we do, I almost want to do yang of each type, but we have to cover everyone. So we'll go through some of the yang and some of the yin. So we'll go to yin water. So yin water, you think of it as sort of rain or softness or mist or I like lake as well because lake at least has that stillness quality. Because yin is the more receptive, more passive, more flexible element. So whereas a river is very, very immutable, very, strong, and the ocean is very ineffable force, uh, those are yang water. So yin water is going to be the rain, it's going to be the softness, it's going to be mist. And so some of the qualities of yin water people are that they can kind of they're very intelligent in the sense that like how water kind of disperses. It's like capturing all of a concept and all of a system very diffusively. They can really just spread out. It's that quality of just yin just kind of flowing up to take up a space, you know, rather than being very direct and purposeful. It's like, let's take our time and really kind of cover everything. You know, how rain kind of leaves nothing untouched. It's that sort of quality of dispersion. And in relationships to other metals, or I'm sorry, other elements, that's where you can get a lot of the qualities as well, but we're going to talk about that later, the relationships between elements. But just on its own, yin water has that almost healing quality to it because of its gentle presence. You know, it's not these people aren't really trying to break your door down and do anything quite very direct or concentrated. It's more of a steady, consistent energy. So we'll do yin wood as well. And yin wood, you can go from anywhere from flowers and that kind of beauty. I like ivy as well. Bamboo is kind of it's a gray area case because you can say that bamboo is kind of yang wood. It kind of bursts forth and it's very strong, but it's also very flexible. So there are gray areas, and like that's why I say if you have yin wood, really just sit with what is my favorite yin wood expression? Is there a certain flower I've always liked? Have I always really appreciated ivy and the way it kind of covers things? And what I like about Yinwood is it's more subtle. These people are more subtle and hidden with their beauty. Like, a young wood will dominate a landscape, like a giant oak tree, right? But Yinwood, that's why they say stop and smell the flowers, because if you're just going, you're not going to appreciate the yin wood. You don't appreciate the fragrance unless you stop. So they're very subtle, it's not so much in your face. And of course, they're very flexible. And they can be very hardy. Yin, again, I always have to reiterate this, yin does not mean weak. It's not the weaker of yin and yang. They can have very hardy roots. They can be flowers that come back every year, right? So we have that as well. And then, like I said, you talk about the other elements. Yin wood likes yin earth because the soil, and they like yang fire for the sunlight. So you start thinking in terms of how the other elements relate to yin wood, and that'll give you something to go on. All right, let's do two more. One of the fires. Since we already talked about yang fire or mentioned it, we'll talk about it because it demands attention. It is the sun. That is the reflection of a yang fire person. So if you have a yang fire person in your life, you really have to understand them as a almost self-sufficient, self-contained ball of energy that can kind of shine and give light to the community. They're really fascinating, honestly, in how they show up, how they take care of themselves, how they're very clear. This is me, this is what I need, and then this is what I do. And they're like kind of powerhouses in that sense of the day masters. So if you know Western, maybe like Leo, Sun rules Leo, you might think of that if you want some crossover, because it is about being the center of attention, or at least the center of your own universe. They're very clear that they are the center of their own world, and they're okay with that. A lot of us other day masters try to live for others, really get caught up and involved in other people's lives in a way that we lose ourselves. It's not about selfishness. It's a healthy self-centeredness, a strong sense of it. And that's where they really shine. And so why I said they dislike yin water is because if you have too much of those clouds, then they can't shine. You can't really get through the cloud cover. So they're not a fan of that yin water element. Whereas yang water is like the ocean, just, I mean, picture in your mind the sun setting on the ocean. Like, that's a good harmony where both elements are being brought to their fullest. All right, let's do an Earth. Oh, there's a picture of me. Okay. Well, young Earth is like a boulder. These people are solid and dependable. They can be stubborn. They can be slow to move. And of course, like I said, there's gradients of you can have young Earth people that are mountains, or you can have someone that's like a rolling snow. You know, there is active Earth that is has its own shape, but travels and moves, right? It's just that quality of Earth that it has taken a shape, and therefore other people can lean on it and be can find their sense of boundaries and self. Like young Earth people's like, this is where the line is. It's not moving for you, so you need to check yourself, right? That's the young Earth. So that's why young Earth loves young water because it's like, all right, river, you're going down this way. If there was no young Earth in the world, there wouldn't be rivers because the water would just go, it would all be in, right? So it gives that water, okay, I've got a direction. I can't beat that young Earth, at least not immediately, of course, long term stuff, but it gives that direction. So young Earth people are very important to give people direction to help them find their sense of self. It's kind of like I'm here, this is who I am, so you can figure yourself out, and that helps them that way. So that's our first 5 day masters, and there's a lot to take in. So we'll go with one more concept just to look at the 5 elements in general. No deserts. Okay, here we are. I thought I had an element chart. Okay, here it is. Okay, so the 5 elements in Batsu. I should change the slide to say phases because the elements, even though we just went on some really solid and concrete imagery like boulders, rivers, flowers, that's to give you a reflection of the energetic quality in the physical world. So this is a little paradoxical. The elements as they are more like phases of energy. They're the phases that energy goes through during change, because that's what thoughts is about, right? We're learning about these ever unceasing patterns of transition, like you said, or change. And so the element in a certain phase, or I'm sorry, energy in a certain phase has a quality. And so it's like, okay, energy when it's at its peak, we call that fire. So we use fire to help understand what is that energy like, but don't get caught up thinking, oh, these are the elements. These are the phases of energy transition. And that's what the actual character in Chinese is better translated as phase or movement. So we're going to do a little exercise to help us get a feel for these 5 phases. And that'll get us moving and feeling with our bodies, okay? All right. So you can stand up, you can sit down. All you need is your hands and the power of your imagination. So the blue is water, and we're going to go through green, and we're going to go clockwise from there on the screen. So water phase of energy is the core. So put your hands together kind of low in front of your abdomen. It's energy that's kind of sunk down and collected like a pool. It's the core of ourselves. So we talk about water as the element of stillness. Because when we get still, the water can not get stirred up and sink into the basin of our pelvis. So just get some time, close your eyes, and feel into that space and feel into what it is like to be consolidated and still. All right, now from that energy, we're going to grow out. This is wood phase. The wood phase is growth. So you'll do this a couple times just to get a feel for it. But it's really the expansion in every direction. So my hands are moving one way, but you could play with it. All right, play with your bubble expanding in every direction. So we're moving from water, that stillness of potential. And this is the wood phase. So we're getting a feel for what wood means, not just, oh, it's a tree or oh, it's a flower. And another important aspect of wood is pushing. So we're pushing out. That's why it's like, all right, we're pushing through the soil, pushing beyond we're kind of get comfortable here and still, we push out. All right, now fire is a bit softer because we're not pushing anymore. Fire is the apex of our growth. It's where we've reached, and it's like, this is the edge. So we're just feel around your edge. Don't push past it. You just feel that edge. All right. How big did I grow through the wood phase? Now, where am I at? Oh, it feels nice to be this expanded. So in Chinese thought, we talk about fire having a nice joyful quality, just being content with where we are. Now, earth is very important because we're going to be using earth for this month. But earth in the body is our center, our central pillar. So we feel that I'm going to try turning counterclockwise because that's the way the earth spins. So kind of, if you have the space to spin around and feel what gives you balance, because all the spheres in the sky rotate. The sun rotates, earth rotates. So what is your axis that you rotate around? What's your central pillar that helps you from, having a baseline to enjoy the fire expansion and keep it spherical, not get too any crazy in any one direction. So let's just practice feeling our axis. Hands up, hands down, whatever's feeling good. Go slow, definitely go slow, because it's really about feeling inside the body, right in front of the spine, from the top of our head to the base of our pelvis. And what Earth leads to is the next phase of consolidation. It's like, all right, let's bring it back in. We can't grow outward all the time. This is the opposite force of wood. We need to consolidate. We need to let go. Metal is a lot about experiencing loss and letting go what's not ours. So we're bringing it back. I find in the West, this is a very, very hard element for our culture. Letting go, releasing. And the quality can be sadness, but the virtue is also courage. Courage to say, okay, let's come back. Let's let go of what we've reached for and see what we've learned. And all that comes back to water. See, we just contracted and that gives rise to the water phase. So just shake it out, We did get some energy moving. That's not Qigong. Let me be very clear. You didn't just learn a Qigong exercise. I just wanted to create that as an experiential way to see the phases and how they feel. Because that's what we really want to get. We want to get a feel for things so that we're moving more in touch with that than just, oh, our thoughts. So I hope that was useful. I thought it was very fun, very relaxing just to be with the elements and really get the qualities of them. So I want you to think of those as what I talk about when we say elements or what's the element of this month. It's really a phase of energy. So as we move into the next part, we're going to be looking at spring and also the transition of spring, earth. So we're going to be looking at wood and earth. Okay, I think that's enough for one day. Oh, we got a question. Good.
I'm sorry, did you make the mistake of making the statement, I think that is enough for one day?
That's enough for this let's call it lecturing segment where I'm just talking and we got a little bit of experience.
Oh my gosh,
So I'm just
it's almost 11 o'clock.
timing, it just works out like that.
Okay, no, I have a question. May I?
Yes, please.
Wait, I need help. Like, because I was looking at my Daymaster for this year,
Mhm.
and you probably said T, you should have been paying attention. But I missed it, right? Because I know we have the stems, and I know I haven't done too much homework with you on the stems yet, but I have yin earth and yin fire. And so, which,
Okay, so you're yin earth, the top part,
mhm.
and I thought you were yang earth. So that's actually my bad because I haven't done your chart in a while. So we can go back real quick. So yin earth as a daymaster,
You
as
skipped.
contrasted to I did yang earth. I didn't skip you. I just
No, you skipped this slide because I was like, wait, did I miss it? Was I not paying attention? I was like, okay, got it. No, I feel better now because I was beating myself up over here. I was like, oh my gosh.
oh, that was on me for sure. And my memory failed me for a second.
It's not bad. Thank you for going back. I greatly appreciate you.
Cool. So yin earth is it's malleable earth. This isn't the boulder that everything smacks up against or doesn't move. This is the earth that can absorb water. It can really soak things in and it can make room for things to grow. That's why it's a good friend of the wood types. It's like, yeah, wow, like I've got these nutrients and this richness inside, and that it can harmonize with that. So yin earth, and like I said, meditate with it. Maybe some people feel more like the sand, more like that blowing in the wind quality, So it really depends on your personal relationship with yin earth, but think of it as definitely the earth that can be moved and utilized and has that rich yin potential energy. Life can come out of it um, rather than life bending to its immovableness. That's the yang. So that's the yin.
Okay, that's good. That means I've done a lot of work to be more palatable. That's what that means. Because I was
Yes.
wood for a very long time. I was like, no. So this is good. This is all good. So wait, my other one this year though is yin fire.
Here, what is what? Oh, the bottom half is yin fire. We'll get to that. You're moving too
Okay.
fast, Steve. Don't worry. We'll give you time to go
Okay.
over your chart.
No, I feel better now because I was like, wait, did I miss it? So now this is, oh man, yeah, this is really good. Thank you.
Okay. Good. All right. Well, that's it for this month's lecture section. And I will stop the